Hey, hello everyone. It's Phil again, and today I wanted to talk about variations on a theme, and I want to talk about that not just because you can see it in Journey's art. This project, for example, is a variation on a theme, or I guess more appropriately, a variation on a motif. Um, Mask and mask and mask, and so on. Um, yeah, but that idea of a variation on something that appears over and over again in a work is one of the great joys in creating a work. You know, um, so in the story that I'm writing, um, this one about the mask of fate, um, and that one is the image of the woman surrounded by the floating swords. Um, the variation came to me when I had the character of Journeyman exploring his creator's tower, and I didn't have any preconceived notions about what this tower looked like, but I thought it would be kind of neat if it was open to the sky. You know, I wonder, to be honest, I don't know how many towers are open to the sky or if any of them are. It would seem to be a pretty bad design unless you can do something to keep the elements out. And a wizard could. So, and I'll get back to that open to the sky thing in a moment. But anyways, and then I once I had that open to the sky business, I thought, well, what's next? If the tower is open to the sky, what does that imply about this wizard? I didn't even think about it that much, by the way. I'm slowing down what my intuitive process was. So this is a wizard who likes birds. It's a wizard who likes the sky, who likes the sun and the moon and the stars. And so when Journeyman is looking through the tower, what he finds are a lot of things related to birds, spells related to birds, feathers, things like that. And that kind of thing makes it's fun as a writer. I think it'll be interesting for the artist too, but it's also useful. Um, suppose for example that I want to revisit the wizard later. I mean, the wizard who created Journeyman is dead, but in a prequel. Or suppose that I want to have another character refer to him later. That reference would be about those things that interested and defined that wizard. And so that's part of the joy of the variation upon a theme. You stick to a certain theme, and things suggest themselves. Even the idea of a mask, that variation. You ask yourself, what does a mask mean metaphorically? You're taking on another identity. You're hiding your own. And Journeyman's quest is all about his identity. Who is he? Who is he actually? What is he actually? How does he define himself in this world? And and we have characters already in the first couple of stories that I've written. That's a central question, and I'm hardly doing it on purpose. I'm not saying to myself, well, since these people are wearing masks, what does that mean about them? It's the other way around. Since they're wearing masks, that inspires something in me, So in The Mask of the Ghost Demon, what one of the central characters in that story uh is a guy described as the no-name son of this great warrior. The father, of course, does have a name. He's called the Widowmaker, but the son doesn't have a name. He's just son of so and so, and so he puts on the mask of the ghost demon, even though it's basically a cursed object, because he wants the power, because he wants a name. Guess what? Because he wants an identity different than his own, um, and in this story, the Mask of Fate, we're going to have two characters dealing with their own identities. We're going to have Journeyman. His story is not over. He's a chronicler, so he tends to watch what other people do. Most of what happens to him goes on the inside. But we also have the woman in the picture, who I've tentatively named Leanne the Wanderer, Leyann, a bit of a nod to Jack Vance's Leanne the Wayfarer, or Lion the Wayfarer, who is the prototypical fantasy rogue, a guy who's much more confident than he should be. But there you go, another variation on a theme. And again, as a writer, it's a joy to vary those themes, and you don't just do it from story to story. You do it inside a story as well. So for example, when Journeyman is looking through his master's papers, he finds these half-finished spells, and they're all about birds. But there's one that's lovely and romantic, or lovely and sweet anyways, about creating an illusion of a bird that sings essentially good morning to you in your mother's voice. Another one about turning your body into something like a badass human-sized raptor. And another one about being able to see through the eyes of ravens. Those are all, again, variations on a theme. And I know that my writing is going well when I'm able to do those variations. And when it's not going well, I've got to struggle. For everything. And maybe the variations attract me so much because at the heart of it, to me, at the heart of those variations are stories, tiny little stories, and so when I write, I start with an outline. I don't always stick to it, but I start with it, and then I start filling it in, and then something in the description that I'm writing in a particular scene will suggest either the description or a character or an event will suggest something more, a story within a story, kind of thing. And that's how I build my stories. Why does this person know that person? What is the importance of this object? you know, and I'll dive deeper and dive deeper. Um, you know, and like I said, I have a lot of fun doing that. Um, you know, and I guess you could say I sort of I sort of write like 1001 like Tales of 1001 Arabian Nights. You know, I write like I write like that poor queen trying trying not to be executed. You know, telling her husband, the king, a new story every night and ending it on a cliffhanger so that, you know, well, ending it with a promise of another story. So that way he doesn't kill her. Um, you know, that's kind of like where that's kind of like how I write. Maybe not with the threat of death, but with the threat of failure. You know, oh no, you can't come up with anything else, and the story's not done. Well, that kind of sucks then. Um, and one last thing about the open tower. Um, I just remember where that came from, as I promised I would tell you. And the open tower came from my grandmother's Spanish style urban house in Medellin, Colombia. And I don't know how old her house was. I know the walls were made of like stone put together with is it cement? You know, um, I know the floors were polished wood. I the It was a beautiful house in downtown Medellin. It took the corner. It was a corner house, and it had it had an interior garden. So I was familiar with this house from the ages of 1 to 4, and then 6. 6 was the last time I saw it. 0 to 4, I should say, because I was born in Colombia. There's an interior garden, and that garden had, again, these stone walls, and it was open to the sky. I think it might have had a little screen, you know, to keep, you know, to keep certain things out, but basically it was open to the sky because you wanted to grow stuff in the garden. But to me, I'm thinking about it now as a little, you know, as a little kid, that is like a tower. um, and I just think it's funny. I just think it's funny that image, that I recovered that image for this for this story. Yeah, because you know, my maternal grandmother was one of the people who like really believed in me when I was when I was young. You know, she died when I was 18. You know, so you know, she was somebody who always had my back. So yeah, I'm not sure what to make of that, but I'll end there. All right. Good night, and I'll see you later.